The 1950 census has things on it that we have never seen before on a census. And there are a lot of questions out there about how to use this record for our genealogy research. So in this video, I'm going to tackle some of those questions, and we're going to get started right now. The first question is, what does it mean no one home? Does that mean my ancestor was missed? The 1950 census was the first census that told the enumerators to actually mark down when nobody was home the first time that they visited a residence. But those census takers were supposed to go back later and try to find those people when they were home. In fact, if we read the entire line where it says no one at home, it will tell us exactly where to find that entry. See sheet 71, line 12. So that tells me exactly where I need to go to find that household. I just need to browse to find sheet 71 and look down on line 12. I'm looking at this image on Family Search, and you might notice that in this enumeration district, there are only 24 images. So how does it go to sheet 71? Sheet 71 is the first page of those revisits. It doesn't matter how many pages were in the first part, those revisits always begin on sheet 71. So even if the regular part ends on sheet 10, the revisits begin on sheet 71. There are no pages missing in between. What you want to do is look in the upper right-hand corner of the page itself, and it will tell you exactly what sheet number it is. Another question that comes up a lot about the 1950 census is, what about the military? In 1950, the U.S. military had servicemen and women stationed all over the world. So where do we find all of those military members? Well, it depends on where they were stationed. If they were stationed in the United States or a U.S. territory, they're going to be in the 1950 census, or at least they should be. However, if they were stationed overseas in a foreign country, unfortunately, they're not going to be enumerated in the 1950 census. Some eagle-eyed genealogists out there have noticed that there's a special column asking about an agriculture questionnaire number. As we can see here, the Adkins family in Pike County, Kentucky, supposedly has agriculture questionnaire number 8. Great! How do we find agriculture questionnaire 8? Well, unfortunately, those schedules no longer exist. At some point, the agriculture questionnaires were deemed to be temporary records and they were destroyed. The same goes for what were called the infant cards. Infants born in January, February, or March 1950 were supposed to have a special card in the census filled out. They too were deemed to be temporary records and were not preserved. As I was looking for my family in Mifflin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, I came across this image. I have to admit, I panicked at first, really hoping it was not my family on that page. But as someone pointed out on Twitter, this page was actually refilmed a couple of images later. But that brings up the question, what happens when you find an image like this? I've seen images where the camera operator has their hand in there, where the page is folded down and you can't see all of it. What about those pages? First, don't panic like I did. Instead, browse a few images in either direction to see if that page was actually recaptured. And while you're browsing, cross your fingers that that image was recaptured on another frame, because believe it or not, those original 1950 census schedules have also been destroyed. In the 1950s, the Census Bureau took the original records, compiled statistics from them, microfilmed the original records, and then, sometime in the early 1960s, destroyed the originals. So if there's a page that didn't quite meet quality control and they didn't take another picture of it, that page is gone. Here's that page from Mifflin Township, Franklin County, Ohio. I should say, the good version of that page from Mifflin Township, Franklin County, Ohio. And you probably noticed this looks a lot different than a lot of the other 1950 census records that you've been looking at. That's because a handful of counties in Ohio and a couple of them in Michigan participated in what they called self-enumeration. Normally, the enumerator would go house to house, ask somebody in the household the question, and the enumerator would write down the information. But in the counties that participated in this self-enumeration test, someone in the household actually filled out the form. Census officials must have deemed the test a success because the 1950 census was actually the last one where enumerators were supposed to go to every single household. What questions do you have about the 1950 census? Let me know down in the comments. The 1950 census has so much information that we can use in our genealogy. And this playlist up here will give you even more tips on how you can use this valuable resource. Happy researching!